And
oh, wow, slippery.
so we are very excited. I know you're just logging on. It's not quite 10:30 yet. So
I'm gonna go run down and get myself some water just in case. So I'll be right
okay,
back.
perfect. Totally, totally fine. Okay. Can't see that we're live yet. Maybe let's check it out. Oh, there we are. Perfect. Okay, awesome. So as you start to see this, it looks like we have a couple viewers already. So definitely write in the comments, like let us know who's here so I can see who's joining us. Jana, hi Jana. And Jenny Walker from Pasadena. I think you two get the prize for the warmest climates right now because I'm in quote unquote sunny North Carolina and I have this like extra super warm scarf on right now. So Leslie, hi, good morning, Leslie, welcome. And Angie, hi Angie, good morning. So Dennis, oh, Dennis is on as well. Hello, welcome Dennis. Okay, so looks like it's 10:30. We're gonna go ahead and get started, and it is my pleasure. If you don't know, Cynthia Riley. Cynthia has been in the industry, the resale industry, for over 20 years. She is absolutely amazing, amazing. And when I was spending time with her, I learned that she is probably one of the most successful people I have met on Poshmark. And so she promised to do a training with us. So I'm so excited to have her here today. And she is going to give us all the nitty gritty on Poshmark and the strategy stuff. She might gloss over some of the basics, but I really want her to dig into the strategy. So Linda, good morning, Linda, and Shelly, good morning. So Cynthia, welcome, and I am just going to turn it over to you.
So can we just kind of assume everybody gets what Poshmark is and we can just start jumping into some, okay. And you can see my screen.
Yep, we can see your screen.
It's
and
like
also, by the way, if you're watching, please type questions or comments. Like this is your time to pick Cynthia's brain on how to actually sell stuff on Poshmark. Okay, take it away.
Okay. You ready? Okay. So I just went ahead and pulled my Poshmark screen up. So there's plenty of information on their site that you can read for yourself. So I'm not going to go over any of that. I'm assuming probably most people that are on here already are dabbling in Poshmark just a little bit. We can talk later if people want to kind of about deciding what things to sell. So they may already all sell online, but I think it's an easy platform to just jump into. You can take all the pictures on your phone. I don't think you need to buy any fancy camera setup. There's definitely a ton of things you can buy on Amazon if you want to, but honestly, a piece of white like science fair board is all you need to have a white background. I use an editing tool called Snapseed to make my backgrounds white. So like I'm just going to jump into one of my listings.
So can I I'm going to write that in the comments, Cynthia. It's called Snapseed.
It's a Google app. It's super easy.
Okay, Snapseed. Go. Okay, got it.
When I discovered that, it totally changed my pictures to the point where I was getting notices about copyright infringement on pictures that I took myself. So I'm like, oh, it looks that awesome. So thank you, but that's my picture, so calm down. But like these boots, for example, so this is a listing that I have up. I mean, I didn't use any fancy equipment. This is my iPhone and a Snapseed editing tool. And this is the most important picture is this main picture that's going to show. So that's what's trying to get people to click and read more information about whatever your item is for sale. Poshmark is just like eBay or any of those other platforms that are out there. There are literally millions of items for sale. So your job is trying to figure out how to get somebody to, number one, even know yours are out there, and then want to click on your main picture and get more information about it. I do go ahead and put the brand on there because I do think it's important, and on Poshmark, because there is so much to plow through, there's different ways you can find things to purchase when you're shopping on Poshmark. I personally shop by brand. Like, I just don't go on here to randomly look for a red shirt. I mean, you'll be searching for years if you want to do that. So I try to highlight the brand and the size of whatever the item is. When you're on your iPhone looking at things, it doesn't immediately show you the size information. Like on here on the listing, like it will show up in your feed if you scroll down, but on your phone, all you're going to see is the picture.
So Cynthia, I do have a question. So I tend to shop from boutiques. Like I was just in Blowing Rock, North Carolina this weekend, and they have all these like little boutiques.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like all that boutique-y, cute little, what would you recommend for putting that on Poshmark when it could be kind of like a no-name brand? Does that make sense?
I feel like it's very hard to sell no-name brands, and you definitely have to get into the parties and really sharing your stuff. Well, actually, the parties aren't going to help you because parties are by brand name anyway. But if you're going to be listing things that don't have a specific brand associated with them, you really have to commit to sharing your items a lot. Again,
Okay, cool.
just
So
to break through the clutter.
We'll come back to the sharing. I'm going to make a note of that, and we'll come back to the sharing. You can talk about that later.
Okay, so I'm going to also, one of the ways that you can also look for things is just on your feed. So you can kind of like quickly scroll through and see, things that you want to look at. I'm trying to find somebody who has, like, this is a good one. So a lot of people on Poshmark with their pictures, they'll do something to kind of brand their photos that isn't necessarily throwing your name out there or a logo. I mean, this person, I think if we went ahead and looked at her closet, probably, yeah, she the way she brands her things is she has a little prop that she always includes in the picture. She's doing something called a flat lay. So that's what most people on Poshmark do. Again, I think a lot of people feel like you have to run out and buy a mannequin. I've had sort of like a little weird mannequin in the house I've been playing with, and I don't know, you have to figure out, like, if it's a top, do you put pants on them? Do you have a pantless thing up there? Like, what's going on? But I feel like the flat lays are easy. And this, because I have it, I know what this is. The background, it's just a piece of paper. It's just a piece of paper when it printed to look like flooring. So that is something you can order on Amazon really cheaply. But, having a nice professional looking photo, I mean, you can see some of hers aren't. Like, I would much rather take a peek at what this is. And I just think it communicates that, the sellers invested a little bit of time and energy in trying to, make their closet look professional. And on Poshmark, this is called your closet. So unlike eBay, where you have to do a lot of searching around to find the seller's other items, in Posh, it's really easy to just click and see, like, what are all the other things this person has for sale. So that's one thing you definitely want to try and get to happen from people looking at your pictures is like, wow, I want to go see what else is in their closet. So we can just go back to our item. I don't know, I personally don't shop from this feed, but some people do. Like I said, I'm usually just using this search listings button up here, and I'm just clicking on a brand I like. And of course, one of my favorite brands, and I can't type very well, is Liberty of London. So, yeah. So I can just show you, and it's important to understand the way people are shopping to really just kind of merchandise your things on Poshmark. It's really, you just need to kind of put your regular retailer hat on just the same way that you would do in your brick and mortar stores. What can I do to get people interested in looking at my items? So when you do a sort, it's automatically clicking up on just shared, so which means it can be items that have been sitting out here for months, but somebody just shared it to your feed. I always go click on just in. So then I can see the things that somebody just put up here that maybe I haven't seen before. So that's just a little thing to think about. You can also do things that somebody just recently dropped the price on, which can be a good reason to price drop because it's going to move your item up higher in the feed. Or sometimes if it's a brand, I know there's a jillion things of, like I also like Eileen Fisher. I know over a certain price, I don't even care. I'm not interested in it. I'll go switch to start up the lowest priced items first. And it's already popping up a men's tie, which I don't care about. So you can also always go pick, I want to change it just to looking at women. So it's just ladies things. So anyway, so shopping from the feed versus just searching on brand. You want to go look at maybe like putting a listing together. So let's pick something on here that's, so there is a big controversy. I don't say controversy, but there's a lot of conversation about whether to use something like this, which is a stock photo, versus using your own photos. I mean, there definitely are some copyright issues. There are certain brands like Lululemon and James Avery that are, from my experience, more likely to like have your photo taken down. But I tend to, if I can find a stock photo, I'm going to use it. I just feel like it shows you how the item's going to fit. It's the difference between having an item on a mannequin in your store versus having it hanging on the rack with, 100 other pieces of clothing. So I do always try and look for a stock photo if I can find it, but you don't want to spend a ton of time looking for it either. Lululemon is an easy one because there's a website called Lulu Fanatics. So pretty much any Lulu item that has ever existed is out on Lulu Fanatics, and the stock photos are there. It's also, I don't know, I just feel like it helps you show the features of how things work. Like I could never do that on my own, but please don't just use the stock photos. So that's what my main picture is, but then definitely I have photos of the actual item. And sometimes it's tough to see what the color is too. But I don't know, I go with the stock photos. I don't know how much you can read about, let's do edit, then you can see the description better. So what you put in this title is super important because it's just like anything that you put out on the internet. You want to get as many keywords in there as possible. There's a very limited number of characters you have here. I want to say maybe it's like 50 or 80. I don't know. When you type it, it'll actually show you how many characters you have left. You want to use all of them. And you need to be thinking about if somebody was searching for your item, what would they use to describe it? And if you can figure out what the actual name of that thing was. So for example, we're looking at Lululemon. All of their items have a style name. Include that. Because if somebody has a certain style Lulu crop pant they like, they're going to be searching on that name to kind of plow through the thousands of Lulu items out there. I don't usually use color in that line. I mean, that's just not a very helpful keyword. Also, don't waste this space with emojis, especially on Poshmark, because a lot of the sellers are younger. They're going to have like a bunch of different emojis. And my daughter actually does this to like organize her closet based on the brand. She uses a different emoji, but nobody's searching on an emoji. And don't use words like cute or beautiful or gorgeous. Again, it's not helping a potential buyer find your item. So really try and take advantage of those keywords. Use as much.
Cynthia, I'm going to interrupt you because we have a question
Sure.
from Nikki. Nikki would like to know, where did you say we could go find stock photos?
In a minute, I'll show you how to most things that have easy to find stock photos have a style number on the tag in the garment.
Okay.
There are two ways you can do it. You can just do like a random Google search, which would be like Lululemon, tech, zip up, print vest. I could just go type that in and try to find that. Google, click on images and find something that looks like that. Lulu, I'm always going to go on Lulu Fanatics and just go through their different menus and find the item. But there's also a style number on a lot of things. So we can go back and figure out how to do that. And I feel like there's so much I could share right now. There's also, I do a lot of Poshmark Facebook groups. My favorite is Poshmark Thrifters. There's a lot of ladies on there who really pride themselves on being like great stock photo detectives. So a lot of people, Free People's an example where Their items are pretty wacky looking, laid flat, so people really want to use stock photos for those, where people will just post an item that they have and be like, can you help me find a stock photo for that? And that's another way to find them. So,
Cool.
but let's jump back into just looking at the description. My feeling on the description is you're going to put as much information in here as it's worth your time to put in. I mean, if you've got an item you're only selling for $20, I'm going to put the basic measurements and what condition it's in, and that's pretty much it. If you've got an expensive item, you probably want to spend a little bit more time putting that description in there. And if you've found a stock photo, a lot of times you'll find the original sales listing. There's a lot of stuff out there on Nordstrom Rack where, in addition to getting the stock photo, I'm just going to copy whatever they put on their website and the details. And again, it's like, hey, it's just information about the item. Sometimes you have to edit it a little bit. There may be more stuff in there than you need, but I really don't feel like you need a ton of flowy, very, verbose information about what's in here. This I went ahead and I just left what was already in the Lulu listing. And then I do have the measurements as well. And for anything that's a top, this is a pretty standard listing that I take for granted that people know what it means, but UA to UA just means underarm to underarm. So when you're measuring something, you're just laying it flat and it's literally armpit to armpit. And you very quickly, it's helped me a lot in working in my store, being able to identify if something's true to size, because you very quickly understand, like for me, I wear a medium. Typically the underarm measurement's 19 inches. So if I've got something sized a medium that's measuring 18 inches or 21 inches, I know whether it fits true to size or not. And then the length is super important too. These categories are pretty important because when we talk about parties, sometimes it'll just be like best in dresses and skirts or best in blue jeans. So if you've got a pair of pants, you want to decide whether to call them pants or jeans. There's never a pants party. There's always a jeans party. So if you have to pick, I'd pick jeans. So just whatever category is going to help get your item more visibility. You have to put a size in there. It does let you pick plus size, petite. They do have a plus size party and a petite party. Obviously, you're only going to pick those if that's what there is, but it does give you the opportunity to tell you, say, if it has tags or not. And on Posh, you don't want to waste any of this information in your listing, because if it is new with tags, it puts a little icon on the listing. So in your title, don't worry about putting that in there. Brand seems obvious, but one of my tips here is Anthropologie has a jillion different brands in that store. I would not list the brand as Diletta or Postmark or Tabitha or any of the specific brand that it is. I would list it as Anthropologie. And my reason, again, is there's a party that's a boho party, and the brand that they allow in there is Anthropologie, not all the actual brands. So if you've got something that came from Anthropologie, list it as Anthropologie. And then in your title up here, put your actual brand. So that way they can find it both ways. Make sense?
Got it. That's really helpful.
And I'd say another tip on the brand thing is Johnny Was. For me, like Johnny Was is like online gold, like eBay and Poshmark both. So if I find anything Johnny Was, I'm super excited. But it's something else. They have a bunch of sub brands. So JWLA, 3J Workshop, don't pick that as the brand. Put Johnny Was in there, because to the party that brand is included in, they only use Johnny Was. I typically leave color out, because you can get slammed by some buyers about, oh, this wasn't blue, I thought it was gray. Or if there's any question in your mind about what color somebody would see that is, I would leave this blank. So if they decide to open a case against you and you said it was blue and they're arguing about it's gray, and yes, I've had this happen to me, like I'm not going to put any information in my listing about that. And if they start asking about the color, I'm going to say things like, this is the way I see it. It may look different on your computer screen. You may think it's different. Sometimes I'll even say, like, if you really care about what shade of green it is, probably not the right thing for you to buy. So I just don't want to deal with people's mess. They do ask you to put an original price here. They won't let you leave this field blank. I see a lot of sellers just put 0 in here because they're too lazy to look up the retail price. I feel like it's very helpful, and it helps justify what you put your listing price as. And I think from a pricing standpoint, I would typically use the formula that you're using in your store. So for me, that would be, technically about 30% of retail is what I think is reasonable to get for it. I have this listed a little bit higher because of the condition, and also because I know somebody's going to want to negotiate with me a little bit on Poshmark. And I think that is definitely one of the things that gets put in Poshmark's negative column is like, oh my gosh, there's so much dickering about price. And there is. I mean, honestly, I personally would never pay listing price for anything on Poshmark. I'd at least try to make them an offer for something less. So I would think about that when you set your prices, that there's going to be some negotiation happen. That's just how it is. And they do take a flat 20% off the top. Again, on the Facebook groups, there's a lot of moaning about that. Anybody who's in retail, though, if your expenses are only 20%, I think you should be pretty happy about that. And their fee is fully loaded. So it's not like eBay where there's a bunch of different fees coming out. That includes the PayPal fee, the shipping's paid by the buyer. They just make it very easy, and it's all in one fell swoop that they take out what their fee is. And as you can see on my screen, they've made it really easy, in case you're not good at math, that I can see at my listing price of $65, I'll actually get $52 of it when I sell it. And then you can also say whether it's for sale or not. So at first I didn't even understand why this was here, but when I'm going to use this not for sale, if I've got this listing on eBay as well and I sell it on eBay, I'm going to click, I'm going to go ahead and leave my listing up just because I want people to see like, oh, you missed out on this awesome item and it's sold. So I'll just click not for sale so nobody could actually buy it on Poshmark, and I'll go up in the title and just type sold in here.
So will you keep the description there in the title? You keep that whole description, you just write sold in front of it? Is that what you do?
I do. So sometimes it's going to use up your characters. Like if I've really used all my characters, I don't have 4 spare characters sitting around, so I'll go delete something that doesn't really matter in here just so I can do that. Gotcha. Again, like some people will just delete the listing. It's my preference to keep it up there. I don't know. I think it's just good to have as many listings out there as you can. And it's still going to show up in the feed even though it's not available. So if somebody searches on Lululemon, it's still out there. So to me, anything that's helping somebody get to your closet, why wouldn't you leave it out there? So my 2 cents about that.
Okay.
All right. So let me move where your head is so I can see my screen better. Oh, this is actually an interesting tip. Let me go back. Do you want to, I just feel like I'm starting to ramble here. You think everybody...
And just remember, anyone that is watching, if you have any questions, type them in. This is a great opportunity to get some of those questions answered about anything to do with Poshmark. So Cynthia actually attends the Posh conventions, and so if you just want to know anything, type away, ask away. She's really here to answer.
What's happening?
Is your screen just taking over?
Yeah, something weird just happened.
Okay, I don't know, but it stopped now.
Okay, that's good. All right, I was gonna go back to the question about, so I'm also just searching for something in my closet. So I have a ton of J. Crew, but we were talking about stock photos. So this is something I just put up, and honestly, I didn't take pictures of the item yet. I just wanted to get it up pretty quickly. I just took a picture. So this is actually where the stock photo is. So it says style 01173. If you just type in J. Crew and this style number, I found this stock photo. And honestly, like, to me, this looks much cuter than just having this shirt laid flat. Again, this is a listing I just put up. I need to add actual pictures of the entire shirt. But for now, just to get it up, I did that. J. Crew, it's super easy to find the style number. Madewell's another one because they're a J. Crew brand as well. Let me show you another one.
And then on that top photo, Cynthia, where it says J. Crew and the number 4, was that on the stock photo, or did you add that?
I added that with Snapseed.
Okay,
So with
awesome.
Snapseed on a regular picture, I'm gonna edit the background so it's super white, and then I go ahead and put the brand and the size in.
Okay, so we have 3 questions,
Okay.
and one of them is about sharing, so I'm gonna save that for
Yeah.
last because I
Okay.
would love for you to get into that as a whole nother topic.
Okay.
So I'm gonna save that one for last. But Leslie wants to know, is there a formula for how many times you list a day that works best?
I there really isn't. You just need to like have as many items in your closet as possible. A good variety of brands, a good variety of sizes, petite things, plus size things. Again, just the more things you can get to draw a large number of people to your closet, the better. Sometimes they maybe come for a certain piece of clothing and then they wind up buying jewelry or a handbag or whatever from you. So list as much as you can, but it also needs to be worth your while. I mean, I see people with stuff on Poshmark that they're trying to sell for $4, which is like, why would you even do that? And
Yes, that
Poshmark,
was something I was doing, and you were very, very helpful in being like, Colleen, get that.
well,
Don't
and
do
again,
that.
if you really, I mean, if that's all they're worth, then bundle them. So like, just hey, here's like 5 necklaces that together are now worth $20 or $25 or whatever. But I mean, it's just like anything you do in your store. Just think about the amount of time that you're putting in here because, I mean, your time is worth something and it's time you could be spending posting something that you can make a lot more money on. So with that said, I mean, I definitely have some lower ticket items, but if you're going to list it for under $20, once they take their cut, like, I don't know, what are you doing? So.
I have a whole bunch, so I took your advice, and I have a lot of just like costume jewelry, and
Right.
I took it all and put like I have a neighbor who's on Poshmark, and she's like, oh, put it all together in one color. So I have like a pink bundle, and you can get all this like cheeky pink jewelry for I think like $20 or $30. Okay, so a bunch of questions again. Jenny, hold on to your sharing question. We're going to come back to that, but I'm going to continue to ask these other questions. Best way to handle an item with no size tag?
Measurements, you've got to put those measurements in there. So it's
Okay.
the underarm to underarm measurement and the length measurement. And then I would just do your best guess. And in the listing, I would say size tag is missing. Please refer to measurements for fit. And once you've
Okay.
listed like a few dozen pieces of clothing, you're going to kind of get like what is that measurement? So again, like I know a medium is 19 inches underarm to underarm. But
Okay.
Poshmark, you've
Awesome.
got to pick a size. And again, people when they're searching, they're going to set the my size filter. So I'm only having things show up on my feed that are smalls and mediums. I don't need to look at extra smalls. I don't need to look at extra larges. So make sure you've got the size on there.
Okay, so we're gonna come back to these more questions. We have great questions. We're gonna come back to these in a minute. So this is my
This is your page.
past.
And I pulled it up because you did a really good job merchandising your jewelry. So it's not a white background, but because a lot of the jewelry is lighter color, I think it looks really good and it's appealing. So I mean, we've talked about this before. You have a tough time because most of these things aren't branded. So one thing some people will do is like in their flat lays, they actually like make a whole little outfit. And I don't know, I feel like sometimes it's confusing what's for sale, but a lot of times people, just like in your store, when you put shoes in a bag and whatever, they'll go for the whole outfit. So it's an option too. It's the way some people brand their pictures is that their flat lay is just a whole little merchandised outfit. That's a great way to get your jewelry pieces in there and help sell things that aren't necessarily branded. Or you may be like, once you start filling up your closet with other things, you might actually go through and mark each one of these with an icon or something and be like, hey, buy a shirt and pick a piece of jewelry for free or something. Again, Poshmark people use promotions just like you use promotions in your store.
Okay, cool. Thank you for that. And I might go back and use that new app you talked about, Snapseed, and make
Yeah.
my backgrounds different.
Oh, and here's an example. I just picked somebody's listing where like they just want to put like little ads in their closet. It's just a little graphic they made with like Canva or, any one of those apps like that. People will put things in here that are basically saying I'm open to taking offers, or don't lowball me, or I'm having a sale, everything, bundle it together and I'll give you 30% off. But it's just different ways you can add some interest to your closet. And this girl's definitely like pineapples is her brand. You can definitely see. And she even uses cute pineapple packaging. I actually have a cute mailer that I use like this, but I use it for eBay. On Poshmark, everything goes priority mail. It's a flat $6.49. I'm using the free mailers from the post office from Poshmark. I'm not spending even a quarter of my own money on packaging if I don't have to. So, but these mailers are cute.
Okay, so more questions. And again, we're going to come back to the sharing thing because I want to really talk about that as one of the key strategies. But some more questions on listing. A couple of them, Jenny Walker wants to know, the more items in a closet, is it the more consistent sales? I feel like I could answer that and say,
yes,
no.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you say yes? I was going to say no.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, you just think about it. If you again, like, relate it to your brick and mortar store. If I have a store with 100 items versus a store with 10,000 items, who's going to sell more stuff? Like, you're going to find something in that store full of stuff.
More selection. That is totally true.
The more selection, the better. The more sizes, the better.
Yeah, honestly, like after I got my jewelry up and then I had a lot more on my closet, that was when I made my first sale. So people came and saw that there was more and it was more enticing. Okay.
I will say, in terms of listing, a lot of times I do my listings at night. There's 3 parties a day. The party at night, you can pretty much list any brand. They'll have some little cute label for it, but it's basically you can list any brand and anything. I'm trying to list during that 2-hour party at night because it's automatically going in the party feed, it's going on my page, and it's also going in, there's a subcategory called newly listed within the party. So just another place, another feed that I can get that item in.
Okay, so we're going to come back and talk about parties in a second.
Okay.
Shelly wants to know, do you use stock photos, or the stock photo is a different color of the item that you actually have? Like the stock photo is in pink, but you have the item in green.
Yeah, that's a super good question. It depends on like how complicated that item is. So like this anthro shirt, it would be really hard. It'd be really hard to show this from a flat lay, the detail on this sleeve. So I don't know. It just depends on what the item is. This item, this actually is the color of the shirt that I have. But if it's just something that looks okay laying flat, I may just leave it out just because I don't want anybody to be able to zap me and say like, oh, I was confused. If you feel like it's something that you really need that stock photo of, I may go ahead and just still use that as my main photo. But I'm going to put in bold letters in my listing. First picture is a stock photo. The remaining pictures are the item you receive. It's X, it's not the same color. So just make sure that you put all of that in your listing.
And Pam, we're going to come back and talk about parties. We're going to talk about parties and sharing. So I'm going to hold your question for a second. Let's see. Leslie wants to know, are you only listing expired items? If you list newer consigned items, how do you handle the 20% fee to Poshmark with your consigner?
So I've never done consignment, so I always own my stuff. I feel like if you're going to the effort, if you have to go to this extra effort to sell those consigned items, that it's basically the same as if you marked something down in your store. So if you've got the item listed for $60, you decide to go ahead and list it. Well, actually, here's 2 ways. You go ahead and list it for $60 on Poshmark. You're going to get $48 for it. That's the split I would give the consigner. So if you're 50%, I'd pay them $24. The other option is to just decide you've got to sell it for 20% higher. So if it's listed for $60 in your store, I'd have it listed for higher on Poshmark. So you're going to net the same amount of money and the consignor still gets the same split.
Awesome. And so you might recommend that, Cynthia, for like those maybe higher end brand name where you could put it for a little bit higher. Does that like the more sought after brands maybe?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you've decided to, if it's something that's sitting in your store right now and it's not selling for you, or you just feel like you don't have the audience and you need to put it on Poshmark, I just really be thinking about what's the realistic price to sell it at. So if you feel like $60 is what somebody's going to pay you for it, that's what I list it for on Poshmark, because it's just wasting your time to sit it out there for 120 or whatever and not sell it. But I mean, I feel like, to be fair to both of you, you're doing extra work to market it for your consignor, but it's not their fault that you took something that you're having trouble selling either. Like, you're the one who made a decision about whether you could sell that item or not. So.
And then two more questions, and then we're going to get into parties and shares.
Okay.
So one question, Jenny Walker says, under the size area, what do you put? So I don't know if that question makes sense to you. Does that question make sense to you? Under the size?
It doesn't really, because based on what you called the item, it's going to show you what your choices are. I mean, there's a ton of choices. So, I guess one thing I would say, like this is a good example. I'm always going to put size-wise whatever it says on the tag. So I think a 24 is technically a 0, or maybe even smaller than a 0. I could have chosen to list the size as 0, but I'm going to list it as 24. Poshmark gives me that option because that's what's on the tag. So again, if a buyer's going to come back to me and be like, I didn't get what you posted, like you said it was a 0 and it's a 24, like you're going to lose that case. I mean, that's just how that's going to work out. So whatever size is on the garment, that's what I listed as.
Okay, cool. So Jenny, then it said this refers to the original question. So if we answered that, great. If not, let me know and we will try again. Okay, so wait, there was another one up here.
Like while you're doing that, here's another one on size. So this particular top, it's a petite small. So you just want to make sure you can see that I've listed it as small petite. So on the size, it's going to show you, is it just a regular size? Is it a petite? And just make sure you've got that selected. Because again, somebody's going to order this and say, oh, she just said it was a small and it was a petite. And anybody who wears petites know they fit differently. And oh, by the way, there's a petite party. So unless you've got that size labeled as petite, you can't share it in the petite party.
Okay, cool. That's super, super helpful. Okay, so Pam wants to know, do you have to do returns?
The good thing about this is, like, for the most part, no. So the only way that an item is returnable is if it's not what you described and advertised that you had. So if something not fitting or you not liking it, those are not valid return reasons on Poshmark. So it doesn't mean somebody can't, like, open a case against you when they get it and say, like, hey, this wasn't what I received. It's not the right size. I mean, I actually had somebody just recently, like, open a case against me on a brand new with tags pair of Chico's pants that were 1.5s. And they're like, these were a size 15. Like, and basically they didn't fit her. So she was just grasping at straws. And like within that listing, I'm actually going to show you this listing. Let's see, so my sales. It's very easy. So it was this pair of pants. So just because it was a Chico's item, I actually include a Chico's size chart in there. And I don't know if you can see on my screen, new with tags, Chico's size 1.5, which is approximately a size 10. See the size chart in the pictures. So yes, I won this case. Yes, I got my money. When a case is open, you can actually go back and forth. And the lady's like, oh yeah, well, they just didn't fit me. Okay, fine, I'll keep them. But yeah, you really don't have to deal with returns. And it's not the way eBay is, where if you want to be an eBay power seller, you have to accept returns. So you do have quite a bit of protection on Poshmark. I mean, the other way that people could try to get a return is if they say that something you sent them isn't authentic. That's a little harder case to win unless you have the receipt for that item. But when you when you put the details in the listing, I'm always thinking about what could somebody do to, like, say this wasn't what they received, and I want to make sure all that information is right there in black and white. And a good thing that Poshmark does is once the item's sold, nobody can edit anything in this listing, and it can't be deleted. So there's a paper trail here of like what the item is, and the more pictures you put, the better. So hello, it says 1.5. I've got a picture of I always take a picture of the size tag. It's a 1.5. That says 1.5, not 15. So just be thinking about things when you put your listing together and snap those few extra pictures.
Awesome. Okay, that was super helpful. And just a couple shout outs to Lois. Hello, Lois, and Cassandra, and Katrinka, and Amanda, and Colleen. Hello, hello. Carrie, hello. Thanks for joining us. Anne, thanks for joining us. Lisa, thanks for joining us. Lisa is up in Alaska, but I swear it's probably warmer up there right now than in most parts of the rest of the United States. Okay. One last question, and then we're going to get into parties and sharing. So this question is from Shelly. Do you recommend naming your Poshmark closet the same as your store or similar, or is it best to sell listed as an individual?
I think that's a really good question, and I could argue both cases. I mean, the case for is like the more you can brand your business, the better. They give you an option. Let me go get on my. So where you can put a website if you want to. So yeah, so I can add a website right here if I want to. I had my store website when I still had a brick and mortar store. You can do that. It does, I mean, I was pretty upfront with people that I was also selling on Poshmark, but a lot of it was things from my own closet, definitely some higher end things from the store as well. I really just feel like that's personal preference. You may just decide you want it to be just harder to find and just kind of like a whole little separate business you're running. I will tell you, I didn't think through my closet name very well because, yeah, that's my name, @CynthiaRTX. Now that I'm just doing online things, I'm really thinking about changing my closet name to something a little more interesting and cuter. Like there's a lot of fun closet names out there that aren't just somebody's name. Honestly, though, I'm not really sure how much it matters because people, again, mostly are shopping on here because they're searching for a certain brand, not because they're searching for a certain seller. So I don't know. I think it's your personal preference.
Okay, awesome. So, Shelly, I hope that answered your question. And let's see. Now, let's get into sharing and parties. And one of the questions that we had, I'm trying to find it, but I think it was Jenny Walker. Is it better to share your own closet versus others? And yes. I know that you shared with me, though, that there is a strategy for doing both, correct?
I mean, there's a lot of strategies. I mean, honestly, you could spend 24 hours a day on Poshmark if you want to. Again, I think it's one of the things that people will say they don't like about Poshmark is that, oh, I have to be so involved with it. And if you think about it and put the shoe on the other foot, that's exactly what Poshmark wants you to do. I mean, and that's what makes them different is they want you to engage with their app a lot more than an eBay does. And it's really what's kind of unique about it is they have added a social element to it with the sharing. But you think about the sharing, it's really just a free way for you to get more exposure for your clothing or for the items in your closet. It's equivalent in eBay activities to like paying for a highlighted listing or adding a subcategory. Sharing's just another way for free. You can just keep getting your item out there in front of people over and over again. And absolutely sharing your own closet is going to be much more helpful for you than sharing other people's closet.
So show us how to do that. How do you share your closet? And then also, how do you share individual items? Because I feel like when I'm sharing individual items, which I haven't really done very much of, but when I was doing it, I felt like, oh my gosh, like all my followers, these people are going to get really annoyed because I'm just sharing item and item and item with them. And are they going to get annoyed by that? So can you talk a little, show us on your page how to share an item and how to share your door, your closet.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and you see this little news button up here. So like always just be checking that. So I know there's going to be some items up here where, so here's somebody who shared one of my listings. So there's actually several people that have shared one of my listings. So I'm just going to click on that and it lets you like thank them by sharing others. So it is kind of like Posh etiquette. When somebody shares something for you, you should go share back. So I'm going to do that.
And is that why? What benefit do they have of going into your closet? Is that why they went to your closet initially?
It's really a tit for tat thing. It's just like, hey, it's like just help a sister out is kind of the situation here. So, and definitely like when you go on the Facebook groups, if somebody like, oh, thanks for finding that stock photo, I'm going to go share a bunch of your items for you. It's sort of like Posh currency, if you want to think about it that way. It's like, I'm going to go help share your items for you.
Gotcha.
I will say if I go to somebody's closet and it has a bunch of stuff I find offensive or things that aren't really like legal to sell on Poshmark, they have a bunch of counterfeits, I'm going to say no. I don't spend a lot of time looking for things, so it's important to have nice items at the top of your closet because you can constantly be rearranging it. I don't know, this lady, she doesn't, and also if it's somebody who carries items that are similar to mine or who has a lot of followers, I'm probably going to be a little nicer with my sharing. If they have like high-end items like I do, they have a lot of followers, I'm going to probably share several of their items back because it's going to get their attention. If I see somebody that has 100,000 followers on here, yeah, heck yes, I'm going to share items for them, and I'm going to share several of their items so they'll go share several more items of mine. This lady honestly has some odd like mismatch of stuff. I'm just going to share one thing for her. So.
And so how did you just share that?
Oh, sorry. So let's pick another one. So this lady, I'm going to go Salon Mom. All I'm doing is where this little square icon is down here. Mm-hmm. You don't actually have to open the item. On the other sort of like Poshmark marketing tools, sharing is also about just getting you in people's closet. So just the act of sharing has forced me to go see who is Salon Mom, like does she have anything I'm interested in? And again, another reason it's important to have good items in the top of your closet because I'm not going to spend, hours scrolling through everything. Again, she doesn't really have the same kind of stuff I do, but like I'm picking a couple of things that I like. And a lot of people take this very seriously, but like, hey, I'm sharing things that I like. These have flowers on them. So, okay, I shared a couple things.
Wait. Oh, you're sharing it to your followers because you can also share it onto social media. So, and what's that pro tip thing? Talk about that. When you click share, or you can go to someone else's closet if you want.
Yeah, let's go do another one. So, oh my God, here's I'm in the wrong button. So this lady actually shared 3 of my items. So I did already share several. So you can see she shared 3. And I feel like sharing several items, some people will go and share like 10 or 15 items out of your closet. It definitely gets your attention, and I'm going to share back for those people. So I feel like if you're going to do it, like at least make yourself get noticed. Let's just go a little farther down. Another thing, well, let's see, I want to share some of my own items.
Yeah.
So honestly, like I have a bunch of weird stuff at the top of my closet now. So like it's not the kind of stuff I want sitting up there. So I'm just going to go pick some items that, like this is a Johnny West top that I like. Some people will organize their things by color, and kind of like, this is a strange thing about Poshmark. The only way that you can reorder the items in your closet is by sharing them. So some people like to keep all their dresses together. They like to keep all the sizes together. Sometimes I'll like keep all my brands together. I like Jay McLaughlin a lot. I'll go share things so those are all together. So if somebody's searching on Jay McLaughlin, they'll find them quickly. Oh, and did you see? So all I'm doing is clicking on the icon and I'm just sharing it to my followers.
Okay.
And the more that you share, so one of the things that it just did is it just moved my item to it's the first listing in Jay McLaughlin now. Or actually, so somebody else has just shared. So I just clicked on the brand. This is a brand that I search on a lot. So now all of a sudden my two items, those items I shared are like at the very beginning of the feed for Jay McLaughlin.
So so all these brands have their own closets, or how does this brand?
It's basically all search fields if you think about that, right? So really, like you're just trying to plow through these millions of items out there. I'm interested in these brands. It's showing things that are my size because I've set the my size button. So it's just the way most people shop. Rather than looking at a feed with a bunch of hodgepodge stuff, they're shopping based on brand. So
Gotcha.
it's another really important reason to make sure that you're sharing, because you want to keep moving up to the top of that brand feed.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
And it's another reason to keep your like brands together. So I mean, I probably have 25 Jay McLaughlin items in my closet, which means if I just went and shared all those together and organized them together in my closet. Now when somebody clicks on Jay McLaughlin, my stuff is all there together.
Up in this Jay McLaughlin, how do you rearrange items in your own closet? Like I thought, how do you do that? How do you organize
The
your
only
closet?
way you can rearrange them is by sharing them.
Okay.
So like here's another Jay McLaughlin sweater. And if I don't want to have to scroll through things on the side, it's just a toolbar to help you quickly search for things. So I can just go pick Jay McLaughlin. It's showing me all the Jay McLaughlin things I have in my closet. And then I can just go share all those Jay McLaughlin items.
And then that brings them all up together.
Yeah, then we'll have them all show up together.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then it's also like a good reference for yourself too. If like, I mean, you can sell, I've sold a lot of Jay McLaughlin, but it's a good reference for like, okay, I'm typically getting $30 or $35 for a top. So when I go to put a new item up, it's easy for me to reference that. Oh, let me go show you another tool to go back and talk about listing a little bit, and talking about pricing. It's just like eBay, where if you're looking for a pricing reference, you're not really going to care about what somebody has an item listed at. What you care about is what an item actually sold for, right? So let me just go, I don't know, what is there, let's just do.
And keep your questions coming. We've had like some super awesome questions. If you have more, type them up and we'll get them answered.
So let's pretend I've got a Johnny Was tunic that I want to list. So now down in this field where I can search, right now it's just showing me things that are available. First of all, I want to get in the Johnny Was brand. So like, let's do that. And I just want to look at things that sold. So I can see that, like, I mean, again, to me, Johnny Was is gold. I can sell it super quick. But you're right away getting a good feel for like what you can get for certain items. And it's just like in your store, like the brand has something to do with it, but also, is it iconic for that brand? So the things that people care about for Johnny Was is there a lot of embroidery? Is it pretty and bright and colorful? And the size doesn't, I mean, somebody sold this gorgeous coat for $180. Like, oh my God, that thing is beautiful. But yeah, don't forget about that you can search on sold. It's a very helpful pricing tool. And also to use in your store. So I would reference Poshmark a lot just because any and every brand is out there on Poshmark. So if it was a brand I wasn't familiar with, I'd usually I'd have Poshmark open already. I'd jump and go search on it and search on solds and just get a feel for what it was selling for. And because Poshmark does make you put a retail price in, it's helpful for that as well. I mean, a lot of these people are lazy and just put $0, and you can see she only got $25 for that. She probably could have got a lot more if she would have put the actual retail price in it. It's actually a good lesson. So But yeah,
So like how much more do you think she could have gotten? Like if you listed that coat, what do you think you would have listed it for?
I think 180 is a good. I mean, I feel like she did a good job on that. I mean, she probably listed it for more like 250 and took 180.
And
But
took it down.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so Pam, that is an awesome question, and we're gonna come back to that. So right this second, we're gonna get into we covered sharing, and is there anything else on sharing, Cynthia, that you can think of to add?
Oh, definitely the well, I guess that's kind of jumping into parties. Oh, another thing that you can do is if you have sort of a like I have a couple things that are kind of an odd brand. They're actually this lady turned out to live in my neighborhood that does this very expensive high-end jewelry. Her name's Deborah Gaspar, and she sells at Neiman Marcus. And like this was a $150 bangle. It's a little hard thing to sell. I mean, it's not a brand that's out there very much. I did mention in my listing that it sells at Neiman Marcus, so if somebody typed in Neiman Marcus, this listing would show up in their search results. I could honestly also have listed the brand as Neiman Marcus just to get it to show up in the Neiman Marcus feed. But you can, if you want to spend some time on maybe a more expensive item and you want to go out there searching for sellers, oh, you can go out there. I think I just did this. You can go out there and look for that brand, and then I can click on solds. And really, there's only one thing that's sold out there. But then I could go see who it's sold to. So it shows me who bought it, and I could share my Deborah Gaspar items to her specifically.
So how do you do that? How do we share that beautiful bracelet with this?
Oh, and interesting, of course, she's in Fort Worth. So like, yeah, it's a designer that's here in Texas, and the lady who bought that one necklace happens to be in Texas as well. So I think her closet should show up now. So what is it? So we just look at her her Posh closet is EAD 3456. I think it will show in my feed, but I'm gonna write it down just in case I forget. So now I can go back to that item in my closet. Actually, let me just go back so I'm right there. There's my item. So, oh, I just thought of something else I'm going to show you too. So now I'm going to share it. Yeah, no, it doesn't show up. So under here, I can just go ahead and share it to a specific user. So it's EAD. I think I might have to put at 3, 4, 5, 6. And there she is. And I just shared this bracelet to just her.
Oh, that is brilliant. That's like a definite pro tip right there.
Yeah, so that's a good one. And oh my gosh, I just forgot what the other thing was I was going to tell you about. Oh, so another thing when you're sharing, some people will use, when they're sharing an item, to get it to show up higher in the listings in terms of how recently the item was listed. Instead of just sharing the item, they're going to do edit listing. I'm not really editing anything. I'm just going to do update. And it's sharing it again anyway. I don't want to reshare it on either one of those items. So now I just shared it to all my followers, and it's going to show up as a newer item because I just technically edited it. So it's kind of a trick a lot of people will talk about on the Poshmark Facebook groups, that to do the edit share versus just sharing.
And Cynthia, is your Poshmark connected to your personal Facebook?
I don't do it on Facebook.
Does it go onto your personal?
I do have it on my personal Pinterest. So, and I don't know. I've got so much stuff. I don't understand how anybody could just be like sharing all this stuff on Facebook. So.
Okay. Well, I guess it's kind of like in the resale world, it's just like their business page. So they probably treat their personal profile as their smart kind of business page and get their followers, and that's what I'm guessing. But
I mean, you could definitely create a separate Facebook page. So when you there's settings under here. So on your sharing
Oh,
settings, like
okay.
you can link different accounts.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be your personal Facebook page. You could connect a business
Yes,
page,
yeah, you
maybe?
could pick what account you. So like, I mean, I do have a personal Pinterest. So like my personal Pinterest is linked, and I do have a personal Instagram now, which I didn't for the longest time. It was just the store Instagram. Although the Instagram, it doesn't share to right away. So I don't know. A lot of people talk on Facebook about in the Facebook groups about how well they do um, linking their Poshmark things to Instagram. I'm not exactly sure how they're doing that. I think they just reference their Poshmark page on their Instagram posts, but people are definitely talking a lot about increasing their sales with help from Instagram.
Okay, awesome. So that's super helpful. All right, so let's get into if anyone has any other questions about listings or sharing, definitely type them up and we'll get them answered. But we're going to move on to parties because that is, I know, another really successful sales strategy. So, Cynthia, talk to us about parties.
Okay, so I'm just on the top like main bar up here. I'm going to go ahead and click on parties. So it's showing me what parties there are today. Like, yeah, like I don't sell makeup, so I don't care about that party. The tops party in the afternoon, I'll definitely share to that, but it's a jillion items. So, and then there's a men's style party. So if you do have men's in your closet, you want to make sure you don't miss those. So basically, what the parties are is just again another way to get your items out there in front of people that have a particular interest. And it's sort of like it's going to keep your item in that album. So it'll show you what the past parties were. So fashion favorites, this was the big party from last night. And it's
So, like,
any
oh, yeah, go ahead and tell, what kind of stuff can you put into a party like that?
so right where it says view party details, it's basically anything. So the big party in the evening, it's always any brand, any item. The three parties that happen during the day, they're much more specific. And they're pretty, let's go back and see if I can show you an example of some of the,
So this happens to be like that party happens to be like you can put anything in it, but some of these other ones are more themed. Is that correct?
yeah, so there's basically 4 parties a day. So they happen at 4 different times a day. The morning party, I want to say, is like 11 to 1. Then there's one from 2 to 4. There's one from 6 to 8. And then the evening party is from 9 to 11. So there's 4 parties a day you can share in. You want to pay attention to the ones during the day if there's something that you have a lot of. So let me go back. So this is usually a Sunday party, this preppy party. I have a ton of J. Crew, Vineyard Vines. So here under party details, it's going to tell you what specific brands you can share. So because it's a limited number of brands, it's actually going to help you get a lot more exposure because it's not everything. Like there's not as many things that can be shared to that. And for me, it's very on target with the type of items that I have listed in my closet. One of my little tricks is I may have some things that definitely follow this look. I mean, honestly, most of what I have in my closet is pretty preppy just because that's personally what I like. Is that in between sharing things that fit this party thing, I'm going to share some of my other items that look like that. So if somebody jumps into my closet based on something they showed up in the party feed, they're going to see some other items at the top of my closet that are also preppy and also things they might like. So for example, J. McLaughlin is very preppy, but it's unfortunately not a brand that's included in this party right now. So I'm just going to intersperse my sharing with some items that have that same look, but aren't necessarily allowed in that party. That makes sense?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, I think so. Because when you do the sharing, it's going to take your J. McLaughlin and move it to the top of your
Of my
closet.
closet.
So when
Yeah,
other people do come to see the items that you have listed in the party, they're going to see the J. McLaughlin line for
exactly.
you. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool. So now I noticed that those parties were hosted by, it said hosts and it says like Poshmark and then there's like 3 people listed there. So how do you
can anyone host a party? How does the whole
But
party
my
thing happen?
understanding is like Poshmark will invite you to host a party. Like if you're on there a lot, that somehow that you just all of a sudden you just get a thing inviting you to be a party host. And then your job as the party host is like you have these host picks. So you're going through and looking for items to go ahead and be your host picks of the party. And this is where being on those Facebook groups can be really helpful because people will jump on there and say, hey, I'm going to be hosting a party on Thursday that's all, let's just keep talking about my favorite brand, J. McLaughlin. If anybody has any of those items, post them right here in the feed and I'll use them as host picks. It's a great way to get host picks. And a lot of times the host picks go in a separate, see if we can see where it is. Not seeing it right away. There's usually like another little like sub room or sub listing within the party that are host pick items. So again, it just helps you get more visibility for your item. But yeah, staying in touch with some of those Facebook groups, it's just another way to get items highlighted.
Okay, awesome. That's really helpful. And you are a member of which Facebook groups again, or that you would recommend?
I mean, my favorite one, because I'm a thrifter, is called Poshmark Thrifters.
And is that
But if you just type in Poshmark on Facebook, there's going to be a jillion groups pop up, and I would just look at the number of members in them, honestly, and those are the ones I'd pick. I mean, I don't think anybody needs to start another Facebook Poshmark group. That's just my opinion. So.
Okay, gotcha. All right. So is there anything else that you can think of on parties? Does anyone else have another question? Leslie, I promise we're going to come back to you on your question that you have listed, but is there anything else on parties, Cynthia, or does anyone else have a question on parties?
I mean, I would always try to like at least go in and share to the party once during those 2 hours. Like depending on like what else I'm doing that day and have like best in jeans, I'm always going to go share all my jeans. Just a thing to make it super easy because you want to do it quickly is just go and go sort your closet so all you're looking at is jeans, right? So I've got all my jeans lined up that are for sale. A lot of times I kind of have them in order of goodness. So like I want to keep these rag and bone jeans and these like really cool Bowden wide leg trousers I just got in near the top of the jeans. So when I'm sharing to a party, I'm going to sort by whatever the party topic is, jeans, and I'm probably going to start at the bottom. So sort of my like less good items are down here, and I'm just going to start selling. So it's going to keep those items in the same order in my closet, right? So when I get done sharing, my bigger ticket, like to me, better draw items are still going to be at the top of my closet.
Gotcha. And so just to reiterate, like it looks like you have maybe 20, 30 pairs of jeans on there. Let's say your Bowden brand is at the top, you've got dresses or whatever, but there's a jeans party. You're going to have to go in and share all 20, 30 pairs of jeans in order to have them show up at the top. Is that correct?
Well, because I shared them, they will be at the top.
They will be
so
at the
anything
top, right.
you share, anytime you share an item, it's throwing it at the top of your closet.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yes. But you have to redo, if you want all your jeans at the top, you have to go and put like, share all 30 pairs.
Yes. I mean, if I want them to all be in the party, I have to share all of them.
Right. And I get that you share your lowest, like least desirable pair first because they're going to end up showing up last in your most desirable pair. So okay, totally got that. I hope that was.
I mean, and a lot of people are like, oh, why can't I just like click one button
Shelly
and share all my jeans? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's okay. Shelly wants to know, in a party, do you have to share during the party time or can you schedule it or share it before it starts?
No, it has to be shared during the party time. Once the party's over, you're done. And you'll actually see it like if you log on at a certain time and click on that party, it'll say, oh, there's like 1 hour and 42 minutes left. I do a lot of times like to get on at the very end of the party. I don't know if it really helps or not, but I'll think, okay, when somebody goes back into that archived party, maybe my items will be closer to the top than if I shared at the end. But if it's a huge evening party where like there's been 3 million items shared or 300,000 or whatever, I mean, there's people all over the country doing exactly the same thing. So I'm also a night owl, so I will say I do share a lot very late at night. And I find that pretty effective because the New York, the East Coast people, a lot of them have gone to bed, but the California people are still up. And I do know there are certain brands that sell better on West Coast versus East Coast. East Coast is definitely more preppy like you think. West Coast is much more boho. Like most of my Johnny Was gets shipped to California. So I feel like those wee hours of the morning, there's just less clutter out there, and you're gonna like have a better chance of breaking through if you happen to be up, like go share a few more items from your closet. So
Awesome. All right. Well, when I get up for my midnight bathroom break, I guess it's
just
only
go share
like
a few things,
9.
Colleen. Yep.
Go share a few things.
There you go,
I'll
babe.
keep my I'm gonna keep my iPad in my bathroom so I can go.
But I think I said it already, but just in case I didn't, and just another good reason to share to a party is that now your items, like they're in this party archive. So in addition to being in your closet, you know, whatever jeans you shared, like they're in this party archive. So, and people can still go back later if you've missed the party and decide, hey, I just want to share a bunch of stuff for people that have jeans like my jeans. So I'm sharing them to my followers. It'll get their attention to my closet, and they've got customers who would be interested in things I have too. So
Is there a limit to how many items you can share to your followers in a day?
I think there is, but it's insane. Like, I mean, I've seen people who literally like they have their little kids do it. Like they sit them on a couch with the phone and like share mommy's things like 3,000 times today. So I've seen people, I mean, it's insane. I wouldn't do that, but I've seen people post that like they have had their sharing shut down for a few hours because like there was an insane amount of shares coming from their account. But I
Okay, so
hopefully no one would do that.
as we've talked about, and I have a lot of items listed in my Poshmark closet that are not, they're like no name, they're just,
Yep,
you know,
you've
boutique
got to
stuff.
share them.
So is that an example of where it's like I just keep sharing,
Yep,
sharing, sharing?
yep. Over and over again. Yep.
Okay. And I promise we're gonna get back to you, Shelly. Shelly did have a, oh wait, she did. Somebody had a question about, hi, Kate Holmes. Kate joined us. Crystal joined us.
Hey,
Melissa
Kate.
joined us. Hello, everyone. Let's see. Jenny Walker. I recently started Jenny Girl Loves Poshmark, focused on news and retail with news articles, consignment. So you can all see that there in the comments if you're interested in joining her. And Shelly had someone had a question about shipping. So let me just find that here.
Oh, good, because I do have shipping in my notes and we haven't talked about that yet. So
So the very last question I want to talk about, because I really wanted to talk about the strategy stuff first, but the
Great.
very last question is Pam wants to know what's the very first step in starting a closet. So we'll tackle that one last. But okay, it was Leslie. You mentioned using the free packaging from the post office. Is there a size you are restricted to?
there's a weight you're restricted to. So to back up a minute, all of Posh, it's a flat rate. It's $6.49. Like they automatically send you a label. There's actually something, I don't know if you can see it, that I've sold a ton of stuff this weekend that they're going to send you a label like this. There's actually a setting if you have a label printer that you can just print a sticky label, or it just prints out on a piece of paper. You just cut it out. It's good for a package up to 5 pounds. And you can use you can use any priority mail shipping materials. So that includes the flat rate things. I've seen some people say their post offices have given them a hard time that like, that's not a flat rate label. You only paid $6.49 for it. Poshmark's actually started to print it on the label right now. A message to the postal clerk, like, don't deny this. Like, yes, it's totally fine. I use this Tyvek envelope a lot. you can you can fit a lot of pieces of clothing in here. But yeah, if you can use free packing materials, do it. The one thing I do buy though, I get these on Amazon. It's a little clear sleeve with sticky on the back. So I'm just cutting out that paper label and sticking, and then I can just slide it on here. It saves you taping. Like, I thought this was a miracle when I found this, and it looks super professional too.
So you take your printing label, you print it off on just regular.
It just prints on regular paper, and I don't know if you can see, this just has a little pocket. So it just slides in there. You peel the sticky part off the back and slap it on your package. So
awesome. Okay.
the hardcore Posh people, when I get a label printer, you'll know I've totally like flipped and like all I do is Poshmark 24 hours a day. But there is a sticky label printer you can get, and Posh does have a setting that it will print to your label printers, and then it really is just a sticker that you stick, and you don't need the sleeve anymore. Or you can tape it, but I don't know, it uses up a lot of tape and it takes more time. So
awesome. And then another thing that you shared with me, so you can talk a little bit more about this, is Poshers love to have like cute little thank you cards and cute, sometimes little gifty things, and they include cards to say continue to shop at my closet or thing. Tell us a little bit about that.
I mean, Poshmark, again, is just part of that building that community and making a connection with your seller. You can do it or don't do it. I mean, I was doing a lot of the little notes at the beginning. I mean, I've had people send me like a $4 Hallmark card. You know, you're just like, oh, wow, you know, I'm looking at the price on the back and, you know, just some really nice stationery. I recycle anything. So people who were sending me these notes, you know, they only wrote on the inside of the card. I'm just tearing the front off and writing on the back of it. Like, why not? So some people just use little index cards. I've seen some people just like print little things on their printer. I've seen people, like, they went on Vistaprint and they've made themselves a little Poshmark business card they include in there. Definitely for if you've got a brick and mortar store and if you're selling to somebody who lives where you are. And I've literally, like, my closest person, I could have walked to their house. Like, I Googled her address. It was like, you know, a 4-minute walk from my door, but like, I'm still shipping it through Poshmark. You know, put a business card for your store in there. Why not? And just say, hey, I've got more things like this in my store. I hope you'll come check us out. I'm not in the free gift camp. Like, every now and then, like, I've sold some very high-end shoes. If somebody's paying me several $100s for something, like, I think I had some Chanel perfume samples. Like, I threw those in with some Louboutin shoes that I had. But again, you have to be really careful if it's a liquid like that can spill. Some people will put in chocolate, you know, and then they'll get complaints that it melted and messed things up. I mean, I just don't go the free gift route. I've definitely gotten a few, and it's like, oh, that's cute, but then you're just stuck with something like, I didn't really want this. There's a lot of discussion on that on the Facebook groups too about, oh, do you need to include a free gift or not? And these are people that are selling things for like $14 and a free gift. Like, yeah, no, why would you do that? I do wrap everything up in tissue. I, again, reuse packing material. I mean, I shop at Talbot's a lot. They wrap everything up in tissue. I'm reusing that tissue paper. Like, it's nice and flat and not crinkled. Like, I fold it up. In place of I used to do the notes. I stopped doing that. I just got these little stickers on Amazon. So they just say thank you on them. So I'll wrap it up in tissue and just put a little heart thank you sticker. These are some other ones that are just a circle thank you sticker. A lot of times I'll just use that to seal the package. But it still gets the spirit of the thing without, like, I'm not spending a bunch of extra time, and I'm definitely not going and buying cards. I used to really do ribbon too. Like, just think about stuff you can recycle. I had a bunch of rolls of that colorful curling ribbon. So I just put a couple pieces of those and curl them around the tissue paper. It looks nice. And honestly, when you get stuff like that in the mail, and I bought a lot of stuff on Poshmark too, you do feel very warmly towards the person who sent you that package. And I think maybe if there's a little flaw or something, you're going to be more likely to overlook it because, like, oh, look what a nice job they did. And they sent me a sweet note and they wrapped it up nicely. I mean, it's just good marketing, right? But I would really be careful about spending any money on extras like that. I mean, I think most of us have that kind of stuff laying around your house. Just reuse what you have.
Awesome. So that is great advice. And again, if anyone has any questions about shipping, or so far we've talked about shipping, sharing, parties, and if you have any questions, let us know. I'm gonna let's see. So Cynthia, do you want to answer the question about what's the basics to start a Posh closet, or do you want to talk a little bit about Posh and eBay? So those are two other subjects to tackle. You can.
But let me go back real quick about the shipping, because there is just kind of a heads up thing, and that's the 5-pound limit, which really is pretty darn heavy. Like I just sold a pair of like what I felt like were super heavy fry clogs last night that I was afraid were going to be close. They were only like 3.5 pounds, but a lot of times if people bundle things, so that's basically posh lingo for they bought several items from you, there's a chance that that package could weigh more than 5 pounds. And that's a real problem for you as a seller, because Posh is only providing a label for up to 5 pounds. So if you've got a package that's now 7 pounds, you have to go online and upgrade that label, and you as the seller have to pay the extra shipping. And it's very expensive. So I would just be super careful about that. And even if you're selling on Poshmark, go on Amazon and buy yourself a postage scale. I mean, you can get one for like $12. I mean, that's what I bought. It works totally fine. And just be aware, if you're selling a bundle that's heavy like that, you can cancel the sale. You can ask them to go break it up into 2 orders. But you don't want to get sucked into like spending a lot of extra money on shipping because your package is overweight. So that is like one little red flag about the shipping.
You have to upgrade it through Poshmark. So
Through
Poshmark's
Poshmark.
basically going to send you 2 $6.49 labels.
They'll basically cancel the first one, and then they'll send you a new one. So if you know your package is over 5 pounds, there's going to be a little icon you can click that says like purchase additional shipping or upgrade the label. And you do want to know how much more it is. Don't guess. So if it's only a pound overweight or whatever, you don't want to be paying for 2 pounds overweight. So just know how much extra it is. But just a thing to keep in the back of your mind.
Awesome. All right. Great advice. Shout out to Ellen. Hi, Ellen. Thank you so much for joining us.
Ellen. Facebook Live. Yeah.
I know, right? Okay. So then the next thing is how do talk a little bit about Poshmark versus eBay, because you sell on both, and then also basics. How do you actually get started? What's the first thing you do to start a Posh closet? So those two last questions.
I do sell on Poshmark and eBay both. There are definitely some brands that do better on eBay, I think, and then brands that do better on Poshmark. Honestly, I've had some instances where I've had the same seller make me offers on both platforms. And then you have to go first you have to figure out who it is. Usually their ID is pretty similar or the same. But if I have the choice, I'll usually pick eBay, because even though it's more convoluted to figure out, the fees are a little bit less. I'd say I probably net out about 15% on eBay, and you can make some money on the shipping on eBay because you decide what you charge for the shipping. They do charge their fee on the shipping on eBay, but I'd probably, if I can steer someone, I'm going to move in that direction. But
do you have an example of just a few brands that you say sell a little bit better, like you feel better on eBay or better on Poshmark, just as an example? Just a couple.
Yeah, I'm going to pick Johnny. Well, let me go in my closet. And we can actually, there's a way to have some data about this. And it's another reason why I don't delete listings that I sell on other platforms. Oh my gosh, what's happening? My closet. Here we go. All right. So any of these that they say not for sale, I know I sold all these on eBay. And this is actually super good data for me that you can see there's, out of all these Johnny Was items I sold, 3 of them have the red sold on them. So 3 of them I sold on Poshmark, and everything else I sold on eBay.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And for good prices too. I got $119 for this dress. So, Yeah, I mean, most of these Johnny Was items, $95, $85, all on eBay. I would say Eileen Fisher is another one. In general, I would say eBay has an older demographic than Poshmark for sure. So, and they're ladies that aren't as computer savvy and probably aren't as bargain driven as Poshmark people are. So, I think you'll just kind of like just find through experience which things you're going to sell quicker on one versus the other. But I still list them on both.
Awesome. And then I have a question about
Sure.
the pricing. So, you can do a price drop. Once you do a price drop, is that
Good
it?
question.
Like that's your new price, or can you ever go back and put it back up again?
You can change it to whatever you want to. But there are a couple, we didn't talk about this, so if there's one I actually want to do this for. So I'm going to click on my item. So automatically when I click on this, I can edit the listing, I can do a price drop, and then it's going to show me two different ways I can drop the price. I can either just edit the listing price in general, so anybody who sees my listing is going to see that the price is now lower. That does like change my benchmark price now though, right? Or I can just send an offer to people who have liked my items. I've seen a lot of people on Poshmark, they use this as a marketing strategy. As soon as they see somebody like an item, they go out and send them an offer. So if I click offer to likers, I've got this listed at $35. Maybe I could decide I'm going to send them a $30 offer. I can choose to give them a shipping discount if I want to, and that's coming out of my cut. So I can either give them $1.50 off or I can give them totally free shipping. And then it's going to show me what my earnings are going to be. And then I can just go share it. It doesn't change the listing price, but it does change it to, it does, anybody who liked my item is going to get a special offer from me. And a lot of people put one of those little canvas signs like I showed you at the beginning that says, hey, go ahead and like my item and I'll send you a special offer. So they really try to market that feature.
Do you recommend that? Like, do you find that that's a good tool, or what are your thoughts on that?
I feel like it hasn't been that helpful to me. Like I feel like it's sometimes gotten my attention on other listings, but usually when I like something and I'm not buying it, it's because I think the price is too high, and usually the discount that they're offering me is not enough. But I'm super cheap too because I don't need to be buying anything else. So. But a lot of people, again, on the Facebook group say it's a very effective strategy for them. And some people will intentionally go out there and list a very high starting price, and then they'll just like knock it out of the park with these offer to likers. And just like in your brick and mortar store, it's like, hey, that thing that was $100, she just made me an offer for $50. And like, hey, I really only want $30. So everybody's winning now if you accept my $50 offer. So there is a lot of pricing psychology that goes on here, again, just like in the regular retail world.
So as a buyer, I guess, and as a seller, if you put your things up a little higher, knowing that there is always the price drop options and that there is always going to be an offer made, it almost seems like very rarely are you going to get what someone's always going to make you an offer. Do you suggest putting the price up a little bit?
Yeah, you have to. And I would say, like, there are a few rare cases. I call them my Google shoppers. Like, they found you through a Google search. So they're not really on Posh yet. They were just out searching for whatever this item is, and your item showed up in their Google search, and they just have made a Posh account so they can come on Poshmark, and you wake up and they've paid full price for something, and it's exciting. So I love those Google search people. And it's another good reason to make sure you really have a lot of great keywords in your listing title, because that's how those primo shoppers are going to find you. And those people came from Google when you go click on their profile and they don't have any listings and they just joined.
Okay. Cool. That's good to know. So we can research out who's buying from us too. All right. So let's go back to that question. I think it was Leslie, not sure who asked it, but how do you get started? How do we get started on Poshmark? What are the first things that you do to get started?
I'd say get your phone out and start taking pictures. and be realistic too. I think, there is some stuff that is just unsellable. And then now that I've said that, I mean, there are definitely people on the Facebook groups that are going to be like, oh, you can sell anything on Poshmark, and people do. But you just have to decide, like, is that what you want to fill your closet up with? So, I mean, seriously, if you've had something that's sitting in your store for 2 years and nobody would give you $1 for it at your bag sale, don't spend any more time with that thing. Like, move on and, put some stuff that you can be proud of. If you're showing a friend your closet, like, oh, look at all the cool things I have in here, not a bunch of like, leftover junk from 2 years ago. But just decide where you're going to take your pictures at. Again, just go buy yourself a big piece of white poster board. Actually, you need a light colored piece and a dark colored piece, because white items, obviously, you can't photograph on a white background. But just start snapping pictures and posting some stuff up there, and get as many items in your closet as you can. And you do want to start really being active on Poshmark and doing a lot of sharing, because one of the things that is going to help you a lot is you want to become a Posh ambassador, which is what I am. So it just basically, they have some criteria about how many things you share, how many listings you have, what your average buyer rating is. And the good thing about that is you just sort of like organically start to get followers. So if you look at like what I have showing up in my news feed, it's just like people are just following me. I mean, I think I have like 70,000 followers now. Yeah, I have over 70,000 followers now. And part of it's just once you get that Posh ambassador status, you're just going to start organically getting people following you, because Poshmark suggests those people follow your closet, and they do.
So, shout out to Jennifer Harrison. Hey, Jen. So I want to ask you, how did you get your 70,000 followers? I mean, before you got the big, great ambassador title, but how did you build your followership?
I mean, it's just a lot of sharing. Like, you do have to spend some time on the app. Like, you're sharing to parties, you're sharing other people's things. I think there's actually a thing where like they show you new Poshers that came on. Let's see. Think about where these settings are. Oh, and I just clicked on the FAQ, so it does tell you just a lot of basic things on here. And what they're saying is right. So seriously, use the information they put out there for you. I mean, that's pretty much in a nutshell what's happening. On the tips, yeah, they're talking about style your cover shot. We talked about that. We talked about describing things, attending the parties and sharing in the parties. It's important at the beginning. Once you get that base of followers, though, once you get your ambassador status, I mean, if you don't want to do it anymore, don't. I mean, frankly, if you don't want to share on Poshmark, don't. But just think about it. It's a free way to market your items. Like, why not take advantage of it? It's worth your time. And
Awesome.
And a lot of people will get questions about their items and they don't respond. I mean, if I have somebody who's interested enough to ask for more size information or, whatever, make sure you're responsive and answer them, because I would say most of those do turn into sales. Oh, and one thing I forgot when we were talking about pricing and people making offers is a lot of people will do something called lowballing, which is basically like you've got something listed for $50 and they offer you 10. It's really easy to get annoyed by that, and I absolutely do get annoyed by that, but always counter offer. Don't decline it. I mean, you'll be surprised at the number of times that it will turn into a sale. I mean, it's just somebody out there throwing something against the wall and trying to get a deal. So, a lot of times you'll counter back and maybe they'll go away right away, but you may settle off at $40 that they went up to 40, you came down to 40, and you sold an item. So don't get your nose out of joint about nothing and just go back and counter offer. One good thing that's different with eBay here is eBay does let you set those offer settings. So in eBay, you can set an amount that don't even bother asking me about, like it will auto decline for you. But I don't know, there's pros and cons to that. In eBay, like I said, keep the lines of communication open, just go back and counter offer. And I'm not going to say I don't get pissed off. Like sometimes they'll just be crazy and they'll just bump up their price $1 at a time, or they'll just keep countering with the same offer and won't stop. You can actually counter offer with a higher price than your listing price. And yes, I have done that before just to communicate my displeasure. So
That's so funny. It's like, because you've wasted my time, your new price is now.
I've totally done that. Like, I mean, I wouldn't make a habit of it, but you're just like, seriously, dude, you're killing me. Like, no, I'm not going to spend 3 days, with you bumping your price up $1 at a time. And you can communicate with people. You can go back on that listing and like, at Colleen, like, thanks for your offer, but I've countered with my best, and then just that's the end of it. So, and a lot of times if you do specifically address them, they will stop. And you can, if you decline the offer too, like that's just the end of it. But.
Okay, cool. So, I don't have a resale store, but I have a bunch of, as we go back to jewelry, I have a bunch of just costume jewelry that I can't really consign because it's not, no one would really be interested in it. So one of the things is I started my Posh closet with the intention of kind of cleaning out my closet, but also putting my nail files on it, which you had suggested. So my neighbor had come over to buy some stuff in bulk. She makes jewelry, and while she was here, she was giving me some of her Poshmark advice. And she is one of those that says, you can sell anything on Poshmark. Like, take this. I have some ugly ass pink jewelry. She's like, put it. But I don't want to cheapen my brand, like my closet. So I did put it all up there. It hasn't really sold. Is your suggestion to just be like, Colleen, just clean it out, take it to Goodwill or whatever? Or would you just kind of keep it on there? And, I have some different t-shirts and things on there that I tried to make look cute and take photos. Keep it on there, or just take it to Goodwill? What would you say?
My feeling is you went to the time and trouble to list it, keep it up there. I mean, it's not like eBay where like if you don't pay attention, you're going to be paying relisting fees for something if you didn't set your duration of your listing correctly. I mean, I'd keep it out there. You can use it as giveaway items. So like, hey, like with every purchase, pick one of my jewelry items marked with a flower or whatever, and you can have it for free. Or just without them asking, you can throw it in as your free gift. But I mean, you spent the time posting them, so why not leave them in? And they all look nice. The other thing that I've seen people do with stuff like that is you can call it a reseller jewelry bundle. So now it's just like a grab bag box of jewelry. So like here's a bunch. And people will do this. You'll just be like, hey, here's a 5-pound box of jewelry or whatever. Make sure you're not exceeding this. And like you can have it all for $20 or whatever, and then you can sort through it and resell it yourself. And they'll call it a reseller bundle. I'll see them do that for clothing as well. And some people will do like a brand mystery box. So here's a J. Crew mystery box, or here's an Anthro mystery box with, you're guaranteed to have 5 items, and you get 5 items for $50 or $25 or whatever. People definitely do that on Poshmark.
Awesome. And so do you show them what's in the mystery box, or it's literally like a mystery?
I've never done it before, but like it is a mystery. And my daughter's definitely bought a few of those Anthro boxes, and she got pretty good stuff. And they do make sure it's your size, so they're not going to send you a bunch of.
And then did she like wear it, or did she get it and put it back up for sale?
She basically, I think there were a few things she really liked and she kept, and then she resold the rest of it. Because she's my daughter, so good for her. So.
And then lastly, Cynthia, so Leslie just wants to say thank you so much for sharing, Cynthia. I'm looking forward to getting started. And Leslie, if you have any more questions as you're going through your process, feel free to post them here or start a new thread in consignment marketing, and Cynthia, tag Cynthia, she'll pop on and answer them for you. But so Cynthia, you're a big thrifter, like.
Yes, I am. It's true.
A big thrift. So tell us a little bit about that and how you have kind of made this as a very profitable hobby for you.
You know what? I definitely I just like buying and selling stuff. I mean, that's what got me into resale is, you just like the thrill of the hunt. And even like all the 20 years I had my store, I was still thrifting to some degree. I mean, when I had the kids store, I still can't believe I was doing this. I had my daughter in a car seat and I'm still garage selling when I'm not at the store. I was garage selling equipment because we didn't get enough. Um, so I mean, I just enjoy that, buy low, sell high. I mean, I keep joking, like when I die, we're gonna stop at the thrift store on the way to the cemetery, just so like I get that one last little dive in. But anybody who's on here, you're in the business, you have a good idea of what brands sell for you, and you'll just be shocked at what you can find in a thrift store. And actually, in the presentation I gave at NARTS this past summer, I feel like there's a lot of good reasons for you to be in a thrift store besides just buying stuff to resell on Poshmark too, because it's a very good lesson in what people don't want anymore. So you don't want to have those things in your store. Like when you walk in a thrift store and there's like 2 racks full of velour tracksuits, if you didn't get the joke already, do not buy those things, right? But it also makes it easy to find the diamond in the rough too, because new current fabrics are soft, they have the prints look a certain way. It's very easy to go look at a big rack in the thrift store and just really just run your hands across the clothing and be able to pull out like, this feels nice, and you look at the brand and it is nice. And oh, by the way, it's $1.99 and 50% off today. So yay, score. So, but I still do a lot of thrifting. And definitely my challenge since selling my brick and mortar store is, where am I sourcing my items from? I mean, honestly, I could source out of my own closet for at least the next year, I think. But yeah, she has seen it. But I still thrift a lot. And again, Poshmark thrifters on Facebook, I love those ladies. Like they do live thrifts. It's just a group of like-minded people, and we get very excited when somebody finds a pair of teaks for like $3 and turns around and resells them on Poshmark for $100. Like that's exciting. So.
I think that's the thing that is really amazing that Poshmark really nailed, is that sense of community, because there is a sense of community. And while you are all vying for dollars, yet there's this community of you want to help each other. And I think that's the goal of a lot of these different platforms, but Poshmark just nailed it. In my opinion, they just nailed it.
They really did, because that is the thing that's missing from online shopping. Just when you're talking in general about the trend towards online versus brick and mortar, is that the one thing online hasn't been able to compete with is that cheers feeling, right? Everybody knows my name. I love the sense of community. I love that there's a group of ladies that are going to help me find things. I mean, you don't get that shopping on Amazon. Poshmark has tried to infuse that type of feeling into their platform, and done it pretty successfully, I think.
Yeah, that's one thing that's really impressed me. So, all right, well, Cynthia, thank you so much for doing this. This was so informative. If you joined our broadcast later on in the show, please go back and watch it from the beginning. I did things a little differently. I started out with all the big strategies right out of the gate, and then ease down into the other simpler strategies. So lots of great strategies are at the very beginning of the show. It was really long, but you can come back to it and reference it. So any closing words, Cynthia?
I'd say just get out there and try it. Like you may do it and decide, hey, it's just not my cup of tea. It's too much work, but I mean, I find it a lot of fun, and I find it very profitable too. So go out and give it a try. Maybe just start out with your own closet first.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us, and hugs and kisses to everyone. I hope you have a great month. And I'm really happy to say there's only 2 months left in the J month, which I know is the typical J months. And so you're getting lots of thank yous right now. So I just want you to know that, Cynthia. Lots of people are typing thank you.
Thanks for watching.
Comments.
And 2 days to an F month, February, for fabulous. So awesome. Have a great month, and I'll see you later on consignment marketing. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Cynthia.
Bye. Thanks for watching.